From this evening, I must give the British people a very simple instruction. You must stay at home. I'm afraid you must once again stay at home, protect the NHS and save lives.
Did we ever think back in March we'd be hearing it all over again today? A brand new year, a brand new lockdown. Yesterday, we were promised the schools were safe. Tonight, they're shut. They won't reopen until late February. What do we know now we didn't know in December? We return to the top story, and like a creaky 70s thriller with squeaky, badly oiled doors, the PM's statement announced itself long before Boris Johnson actually said the words. There is very little mystery these days to the new restrictions, and perhaps that's the point. The public gets there long before the government announces it itself. So tonight we look at the political ramifications of what's happened. Did the PM have any choice? Did Keir Starmer force his hand, or did he anticipate what he knew was already coming? And what can we now tell about the future from the way the government has made its decisions to date? Joining us now, Christopher Hope, the Chief Political Correspondent of The Telegraph, and Sonia Sodha, who's the Observer lead writer. Welcome to you both. Chris, do you see this as strong, decisive leadership or dithering? Did it take you by surprise?
I think this is a health crisis, not a political crisis, and therefore you have a Prime Minister on the stage in the full beam of the spotlight trying to decide what to do next. His inclination is to keep things open for as long as he can, as Nick Watt said earlier. He's got to try and maintain a degree of openness. He's a libertarian at heart, and he's trying to do his best to try and keep the economy going, and also try to think about the other side of lockdown, of how that can affect people with their mental health and other things. And that's why he's trying to keep it open. And that's why he really decided just as late as today. It can look like it's being buffeted by events, but then this really is the biggest event any Prime Minister has had, for decades.
And that has to be right, Sonia. When you look at him, does the fact that he really doesn't want to take these decisions at any step make it easier, do you think, for the public to accept them?
Well, I think that, of course, this is a huge crisis and it's really difficult for any government to deal with. But I'm afraid that, again, it looks like Boris Johnson has left the hard decisions too late. We know he doesn't like taking these tough decisions. And we know the cabinet is quite divided. You've got ministers who've been arguing strongly for tighter social restrictions for the last kind of 2 or 3 weeks now. And then you've had some other ministers oppose that. And Boris Johnson just looks like a prime minister who is not providing the political leadership that the country needs, in the face of that divided cabinet. And that's why these decisions are coming so late. And if you look at the decision around schools, for example, it's absolutely astonishing that less than 3 weeks ago, you had Gavin Williamson threatening to take legal action against schools who wanted to close just a few days early before the Christmas break, when the government was still insisting that household mixing was going ahead, even in high infection areas like London. Then you had the government do a big U-turn. Friday night, another U-turn, with some London boroughs being told your schools have to stay open. And then on Friday night, with literally zero notice, schools were told actually you have to shut. And then this U-turn nationally on schools as well. And it's given schools and teachers and head teachers absolutely no time to prepare. You've had head teachers who've been spending the Christmas break trying to plan how to roll out mass testing in schools rather than thinking about how to deliver distance learning. And, the data hasn't changed over the course of a week. These are decisions that the government should
let's go in.
Notice.
Well, Sonia knows it has changed. You've got a 30% increase in people in hospital with this dreadful disease. Things have changed and the PM is reacting in real time. Even Gavin Williamson, I would try and be supportive of Gavin Williamson to say he's trying to keep these schools open borough by borough late last week. He's trying to maintain a degree of education for children. What's wrong with that?
Well, the thing that's wrong with it is when we know that schools are related to high levels of community transmission. We've known for a bit of time now that this the new variant of this virus is more infectious than the sort of first and second wave. And so unfortunately, obviously schools should be the last thing to close, but we've known for a while now that opening schools was going to be problematic. Really, where the government should have been focusing its efforts is on planning to keep vulnerable children in school and in thinking about how distance learning is going to be delivered. By leaving these decisions so last minute, you actually make it more difficult for schools to provide distance learning and to look after vulnerable children, not easier.
Chris, do you accept that the holy grail right now is the vaccination, and that's where we have been ahead of the game and we have been really committed to the rollout? That's where we stand or fall now, isn't it?
It does have to be. I do worry about the PM, though. He does like to set targets that could be problematic. I mean, 13 million vaccinations by the third week of February. This was said by Matt Hancock to Mark Harper, who's the chairman of the CRG, the COVID Recovery Group, in the House last week. And then it wasn't really supported again by the government until the government said it today. The problem is the government knows, it doesn't know that when you've been vaccinated, are you still able to pass on the virus? I've been told privately, ministers think they won't know that for 3 more months. So when you have got the vaccine, great, but you could still be carrying the virus and could pass it on until maybe we won't know the answer to that until March or even April. So I think it's a good thing to go for, but I'm worried it's not the panacea for this problem.
OK, thank you both very much indeed. Good to have you on the programme tonight. Sadly, that is all from us tonight, but I'll be back tomorrow. Hope to see you then. Thanks for joining us. Bye-bye.